Hey, so, for a long time, I've heard stories about ultra races around the world. These crazy 50, 100-mile races, but I never really appreciated how hard these things were until I took a close look at them myself. And let me tell you, these races are incredible. Let me just name a few right now. The Badwater 135. It's a 135-mile race through Death Valley. It's the hottest place on the world in the summer. Or the Arctic Ultra. This one is 200 miles. It takes place in the Arctic in the snow. Participants literally carry their gear behind them in a sled. My favorite, the Tunnel Ultra. Participants go 200 laps back and forth in a 1-mile tunnel on the ground in England. 200 miles. No sound, no natural light, no distractions for multiple days of running. So this is what ultra running is. It's not so much about physicality as a culture. It's a culture of pushing your limits and seeing how far you can test yourself. My name is Vyan Kalb, and I've just gotten more interested into this crazy world over the past few years. It is insane what these runners do. The more I've learned about this sport, the more impressed I've been. What's even better, most of these people who complete the races, they're not elite runners, They don't spend most of their time, all their days, training for these races. They're normal people with normal jobs. And they're still able to finish these crazy races with smiles on their face. I mean, it's a sense of optimism and mental toughness that's just so hard to understand. In a world when we have so many struggles up here, it's important to learn much from an ultra runner because they've built a path to success mentally through all the miles they've completed. And we can learn so much from ultra runner stories, pushing our limits, conquering our fear, connecting with yourselves and the world around you. Lessons from an ultra runner are universally applicable, even if you've never stepped foot on a track. They're small things, things we do sometimes, we take for granted. We don't make a habit. But if we do these things on a daily basis, they can change our lives. So the first thing we want to talk about is ultra runners are just so aware of themselves. We have so many distractions in the modern day, work, school, technology. We can pull our phone out, disappear for hours. That's why it's so much easier to develop struggles up here in the mind nowadays. Our body doesn't get the constant attention it needs, or that it evolved to need. But what's crazy about ultra races, participants spend hours alone. Hours, just think about that. Doing miles and miles and miles of endless trail in their heads. They're aware of their mind and their body as it deteriorates with every single step. And the result? They are some of the most physically and mentally connected people in the world. They have a heightened sense of their body and their limits, and it's what allows them to push past the point of maximum tiredness. But more importantly, they're self-aware, they're in touch with their mind. After just being in their mind alone for so many hours, they're at one with themselves. It's heightened meditation, really. And it's taught me just to value simple self-introspection. Put aside a few minutes of your day. Think about your goals, what you want to do. We take it for granted. Just try it out. Think about yourself. And you can push yourself so much further forward. You get so many benefits. What ultra runners also do is they connect so well with the world around them. These races, they take place in these crazy conditions, the desert, the tundra, alpine forests. They spend all this time in the nature around them. We don't really do this, we take the world around us for granted. We all know that drive from Tucson to Phoenix, miles and miles, just all this desert. Sometimes even that gives me chills, there's obstacles as I zoom by in a car. But to an ultra runner, they think differently. They have a different relationship with the nature around them by slowly plodding through the landscape. They immerse themselves in it for so long, and they appreciate just the quiet stillness of nature. So many ultra runners can attest to the chirping of the birds, the rustling of the leaves below their feet for hours. They're just connected with nature. They're one with the world around them. And again, this is something we take for granted. There's a whole world out there that nurtures us, provides for us, and we just don't put nearly as much emphasis on connecting it. connecting with it as we should. The strongest ability of an ultra runner is their ability to push, is their ability to stay in the present. You know, we take this skill for granted, but it's not something we do a lot. You know, when we're comfortable with the present situation, we focus on the future, and we crave some favorable situation in the future, or sometimes, you know, we reminisce on the past, some event that didn't go well. But when we're doing this, we don't think about the now. We don't think about the present. We're not aware of our senses, our thoughts, our feelings, and we don't attack our problems head on. This is a Buddhist quote. Don't dwell on the future. It hasn't arrived. Don't think about the past. It's happened already. Live in the present, live in the now, and make it beautiful. Sense of just staying right here, right now, and embodies what ultra running is about. Because on a long race, the temptation to just fantasize about the end, it's so great. Like you're so tired, all you want to do is finish. But they know they can't do this. Because there are so many miles between them and the finish, there are thousands of footsteps. It's literally ridiculous to think about this. So what they have to do, they have to stay in the now. Now this is another quote. Forecasting and predicting in ultra running can be a fool's errand. Just think about the next 10 steps and the next. The finish line will eventually get there. Just give it time. You're making a deal with yourself. 10 more steps. 10 more steps. And this is the mindset that gets ultra runners to the finish line. Dwelling on things can be such a tempting solution, but the best way to attack our problems head on is to stay in the now. Lastly, what ultra runners do that helps them succeed so much is pushing their limits. You know, that's what the entire sport is centered around. Seeing how far you can go, doing these crazy miles in these crazy conditions. I remember for me, even in my first marathon, which is miles and miles behind what ultra runners complete in the races, the long running is still what forced me to push my limits. I remember that day well. I didn't plan. I didn't train so much for that race. It was so hot that day when I did it. I just decided, let's try a long run. So by the halfway point, I was doing great. You know, I was flying. I felt good. But everything starts to hurt on mile 18. I was ready to quit. On mile 24, you know, I had my finish line 3 miles away, but I was ready to be done. The sun had come out. It was over 100 degrees. My legs felt like jello every time I took a step, and I seriously considered calling a ride. You know, but in the end, I ended up finishing the race because I had just been visualizing for so long the end of the race, telling myself I could do this during the run. So it pushed me to finish the last 3 miles. You know, I don't remember so much about the last 30 minutes of that race, just by myself. I remember finishing the last hill as I came to the house. I remember finishing all alone, falling in the pool. So thank God we had a pool. I was so hot. But I ended up finishing the race. You know, it taught me what it meant to push my limits. See how far I could go. Just a simple visualization. Telling myself I could do it. And this is what ultra runners do to an even greater extent. And this was applicable to our entire lives. You know, visualizing a goal, telling ourselves we can do it, believing we can do it. We can achieve so much. So I don't think any of us are going to be taking on, a 100-mile race in the future. What these runners do is incredible. They take on these insane amount of miles in these insane places. We can still learn so much from the lessons. Through all their miles, ultra runners have built a recipe for success. Conquering fear, having a positive mindset, pushing our limits, staying self-aware, connecting with the world around us. Again, they're little things. But if we learn from the lessons of an ultra runner, we can progress ourselves so much further forward. The sky is the limit for us. All right, thank you.